हर लेसन के एंड में एक्सरसाइज है। बोर्ड एग्ज़ाम में बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस इस एक्सरसाइज से पूछे जाते हैं, इसीलिए एक्सरसाइज में जो क्वेश्चन आंसर्स हैं वो बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट हैं। इस वीडियो में साइंस 2 लेसन 1 हेरिडिटी एंड एवोल्यूशन का एक्सरसाइज का रिटन नोट्स हैं। हर लेसन को समझना हो तो यूट्यूब में साइंस 2 का लेसन्स अपलोड किया हुआ है, उन वीडियोस को ज़रूर देखिए। लाइक, शेयर और सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलिए। साइंस 2 लेसन 1 हेरिडिटी एंड एवोल्यूशन। क्वेश्चन 1, कंप्लीट द फॉलोइंग डायग्राम। डायग्राम दिया हुआ है और ये सब बॉक्सेस फिल करना है। मिडल में क्या दिया है? एविडेंसेस ऑफ एवोल्यूशन। एविडेंसेस ऑफ एवोल्यूशन इसमें फिल करना है। दो ऑलरेडी क्वेश्चन में दिया है, मॉर्फोलॉजिकल एविडेंस और सिमिलैरिटी इन बोन स्ट्रक्चर। बाकी दोनों फिल करना है। सो आई हैव रिटन ओवर हियर पैलेंटोलॉजिकल एविडेंस और एम्ब्रियोलॉजिकल एविडेंस। इसके अलावा और दो है, कनेक्टिंग लिंक्स और वेस्टिजियल ऑर्गन। यू कैन फिल एनीथिंग इन दिस बॉक्सेस। अभी ये सिमिलैरिटी इन बोन स्ट्रक्चर तो ऑलरेडी क्वेश्चन में दिया था, इसके बदले में एनाटॉमिकल एविडेंस भी लिख सकता है अगर ये नहीं दिया होगा। अगर सिमिलैरिटी इन बोन स्ट्रक्चर ही लिखा होगा तो यू हैव टू राइट इट दैट वे। मगर अगर समझो सिमिलैरिटी इन बोन स्ट्रक्चर एम्प्टी है, then you can write instead of this anatomical evidence also। अभी ये जो डायग्राम है वो मार्च 19 बोर्ड एग्ज़ाम मार्च 19 में पूछा गया था और मार्च 2022 में भी पूछा गया था। सिर्फ मार्च 2022 में 4 बॉक्सेस नहीं थे, 6 बॉक्सेस थे। नाउ रीड द फॉलोइंग। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज व्हाट? रीड द following statement and justify same in your own words with help of suitable example. The first one is what? Human evolution began approximately 7 crore years ago. Now answer का first point क्या है? Last dinosaurs disappeared approximately 7 crore years ago. At that time, monkey-like animals are said to be evolved from some ancestors who were more or less similar to the modern lemurs. Tail of these animal, next point क्या है? Tail of this animal, animal ने monkey, tail of these monkey-like animals of Africa is said to be disappeared about 4 crore years ago. They developed due to enlargement in brain. Their hands were also improved and thus ape-like animals were evolved. Next point, gorilla and chimpanzee evolved about 2.5 crore years ago. They use their hands more for eating food and other work. Those apes started to live on land as the forest started to decline due to dry environment. Their lumbar bones developed and started to stand in erect posture in grasslands, and thereby the hands became available for use any time. These first human-like animals with erect posture which were using their hands have evolved about 2 crore years ago. Now this answer, this point is, this all the points are given in textbook page number 9. तो ये पेज नंबर 9 टेक्स्ट में ये आंसर मिल जाएगा। You can see from there also and write it down. Next one, B, geographical and reproductive isolation of organisms gradually leads to speciation. तो आंसर का फर्स्ट पॉइंट क्या है? Each species grows in a specific geographical conditions and hence have a specific habitat, requirement of food, reproductive ability and period. Next point, when they are separated by a distance or geographical barriers such as rivers etc., they are said to be isolated geographically. Third point is when they cannot reproduce with each other, they are said to be isolated reproductively. Last point, the ancestor species of both these subspecies may be same, but due to isolation over a very long time duration, there is genetic variation between the two. Therefore, the isolation leads to speciation. Now, this some of these points, सब points में कोई points पेज नंबर 9 on the top first para में दिया हुआ है। Now, next question, C. Question number C is what? Study of fossil is an important aspect of study of evolution. Answer, first point, study of fossil helps the researchers to understand the characteristics of the organisms that existed in the past. Next point, that is point number 2, carbon dating method also helps in finding out exact age of the fossils. According to structure of the Earth's crust, the fossils are obtained at specific depth. A third point, the oldest fossils are buried deep in the Earth's crust while the recent ones occupy the upper surfaces. Hence, fossils of invertebrates are found buried deep as they are very old and belong to Paleozoic era. The fossils of pisces, amphibians and reptiles were obtained in the consecutive layers. The Mesozoic era were dominated by reptiles, while the Cenozoic era showed presence of mammals and birds. Thus, study of fossil is an important aspect of study of evolution. Now, next question, that is question number D. There is evidence of fatal signs among chordates. It is believed, so answer का first point क्या है? It is believed that chordates have originated from invertebrates. Next point, it is difficult to find out from which invertebrate group the chordates were developed. Chordates' ancestors were soft-bodied animals, hence they were not preserved as fossils. Thus, the last point is what? Thus, there is evidence of fatal signs among chordates. Question 3. Complete the statements by choosing the correct options from bracket. Bracket में some words are given और इन words में जो brackets में दिया हुआ words में से उसमें से choose करके correct answers in blanks में fill up करना है. First one, the causality behind the sudden changes was understood due to mutation principle of Hugo de Vries. The proof for the fact that protein synthesis occur through gene was given by George Beadle and Edward Tatum. Next, C. Transfer of information from the molecule of DNA to mRNA is called as what? Transcription process. अब ये फिलअप जो है बोर्ड एग्ज़ाम मार्च 20 में ये पूछा था 2020. नेक्स्ट वन, एवोल्यूशन मीन्स ग्रेजुअल डेवलपमेंट. Last fill-up, that is E. Vestigial organ appendix present in human body is a proof of evolution. Now question number 4. Write short notes based upon the information known to you. The first one, that is A, is what? Lamarckism. Answer का first point में क्या है? John Baptist Lamarck proposed that morphological occurring in living organism are responsible for evolution, and the reason behind those morphological changes is activities or laziness of that organisms. He called this concept as principle of use or disuse of organs. Second point, he proposed that each animal or plant undergoes some changes in its lifespan, and those changes are transferred to the next generation, and such changes occur in next subsequent generations too. Third point, for example, browsing on leaves of tall plants caused the neck of the giraffe to become long. Next one, next example is what? Shoulders of the ironsmith. Shoulders of the ironsmith have become very strong due to frequent hammering movements. Wings of birds like ostrich and emu have become weak due to no use. Legs of swan and duck have become useful for swimming due to living in water. Snakes have lost their legs by modification in their body for burrowing habits, etc. Last point, that is fourth point, acquired characters, which is the ability of living organism which are transferred from one to another generation, is called as theory of inheritance of acquired characters or Lamarckism. Now this answer is given in textbook on page number 8. तो ये आंसर पेज नंबर 8 टेक्स्ट में मिल जाएगा. Question B. Darwin's theory of natural selection. Answer. First point, Darwin says that all organisms reproduce prolifically. All the organisms compete with each other in life-threatening manner. In this competition, only those organisms sustain which show the modification essential for winning the competition. Next point is what? Nature selects only those organisms which are fit to live, and the rest perish. Next point, he published the theory of natural selection, which preaches the survival of fittest. For this purpose, Darwin had published a book titled Organ of Species. Now some objection. Next point is what? About objections. So fourth point, some objections were raised against the theory. Some of the main objections are what? Natural selection is not the only factor responsible for evolution. Next point, Darwin did not mention any explanation about useful and useless modification. And third objection was what? There is no explanation about slow changes and abrupt changes. Irrespective of all these objections, Darwin's work on evolution has been a milestone. Now this point is given in, this all points are given in page number 7. और ये जो क्वेश्चन है वो बोर्ड एग्ज़ाम नवंबर 20 में भी पूछा गया था 2020, और मार्च 2022 में भी पूछा गया था. मार्च 2022 में they had asked only the objection, the main objections which were raised against this theory. Darwin's theory के against जो objection raised किया था, only those objection you had to write in March 2022. Next one, C, embryology, competitive study of embryonic development stages. Competitive study of embryonic developmental stages of various vertebrates shows that all embryos shows extreme similarities during initial stages. These similarity decreases gradually later in their development. Next point, similarities in their initial stages indicate the common origin of all these animals. Last point, thus embryological evidences provide evidences for evolution. अभी ये सब points textbook में page number 7 में दिया है. Next one, connecting links. D, connecting links. Answer, first point, some plants and animals show some morphological characters by which they can be related to two different groups. Hence, they are called connecting links. Next point, examples in peripatus, characters like segmented body, thin cuticle and parapodia like organs are present. Similarly, these animals show tracheal respiration and open circulatory system similar to arthropods. This indicates that peripatus is a connecting link between Annelida and Arthropoda. Third point, duck-billed platypus lays eggs like reptiles but shows relationship with mammals too due to the presence of mammary glands and hairs. Next point, lungfish performs respiration with lungs irrespective of being fish. Last point, these examples indicate that mammals are evolved from reptiles and amphibians from fishes. This is given in page number 7 of textbook. Next point, question number 5, define heredity. Explain the mechanism of hereditary changes. So answer, first point is what? Heredity is the transfer of biological characters from one generation to another through genes. Second point, the mechanism of hereditary changes are as follow. Living organism can produce new individuals like themselves due to genes only, and some of these genes are transmitted to the next generation without any changes. Due to this, some of the characters of parents are transmitted to their offsprings. Next point, however, sometimes sudden changes occur in these genes. Sometimes any nucleotide of the genes changes its position that causes minor or considerable changes, which is nothing but mutation. These points are given in page 1 and page 2. Now next question, define vestigial organs and write names of some vestigial organs in human body, and also write the names of those animals in whom some of the organs are still functional. So answer, first point is what? Degenerated or underdeveloped useless organs of organism are called as vestigial organ. Next point, some organs though non-functional in humans are functional in other organism are as follows. फर्स्ट वन मतलब नेक्स्ट पॉइंट का फर्स्ट एग्जाम्पल क्या है? अपेंडिक्स विच इज़ यूजलेस टू ह्यूमन is useful and fully functional organ in ruminants. Next point, muscles of ear pinna which are useless to human are useful in monkeys for movement of ear pinna. Last point, various vestigial organs like tailbone, wisdom teeth and body hairs are present in the body of human being. Now this answer is given in page number 5, textbook का page number 5 में दिया है. Now this question was asked in board exam November 2020 and July 2019. Question 7, answer the following questions. इसमें से फर्स्ट वाला ए क्या है? हाउ आर हेरिडिटी चेंजेस रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर एवोल्यूशन? आंसर का फर्स्ट पॉइंट है एवोल्यूशन इज अ ग्रेजुअल चेंजेस ऑकरिंग इन लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म ओवर अ लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन. दिस इज अ वेरी स्लो गोइंग प्रोसेस through which development of organism is achieved. Next point, sometimes sudden changes occur in the genes and sometimes any nucleotide of the genes changes its position that causes minor or considerable changes, which is known as what? Mutation. Now next point, that is third point, according to Darwin's theory, the organisms compete with each other and only those organisms sustain which shows modification essential for winning the competition. Next point, according to natural selection, nature selects only those organisms which are fit to live and the rest perish. These selected organisms can perform reproduction and thereby give rise to new species with their own specific character. Next point, that is the last point, formation of new species due to changes in specific characters of several generations of living organism has a response to natural selection is called as evolution. Now this answer is given in page number 2, 3 and 5. Now question B, explain the process of formation of complex protein. Answer का first point है information about protein synthesis is stored in the DNA and synthesis of appropriate protein as per the requirement is necessary for body. These proteins are synthesized by DNA through the RNA. This is called central dogma. Now mRNA is produced as per the sequence of nucleotides on DNA. Only one of the two strands of DNA is used in this process. The sequence of nucleotides in mRNA being produced is always complementary to the DNA strand used for synthesis, but there is uracil in RNA in mRNA instead of thymine of DNA. This process of RNA synthesis is called as what? Transcription. Next point, the mRNA formed in nucleus comes in cytoplasm. It brings in the coded message from DNA. The message contains a code for amino acid. The code for each amino acid consists of 3 nucleotides. It is called as triplet codon. Third point, each mRNA is made up of thousands of triplet codons. As per the message on mRNA, amino acids are supplied by the tRNA. For this purpose, tRNA has anticodon having complementary sequence to the codon on mRNA. This is called translation. The amino acids brought in by tRNA are bonded together by peptide bonds with the help of rRNA. During this process, the ribosome keeps on moving from one end of the mRNA to the other end by the distance of one triplet codon. This is called as translocation. Such many chains come together to form complex proteins. These proteins control various functions in the body of living organism and their appearances too. Now this answer, ये question का answer जो है page 1 और 2 में दिया है. Next question, that is C. Explain the theory of evolution and mention the proof supporting it. Answer का first point क्या है? According to the theory of evolution, first living material, that is protoplasm, has been formed in ocean. Next point, in due course of time, unicellular organism was formed. Gradually changes occurred in the unicellular organism from which larger and more complex organisms were formed. Next point, all those changes were slow and gradual, taking about 300 crore years. Next point, changes and development in living organism had been all round and multidimensional, and this led to evolution of different types of organisms. Fifth point, hence this overall process is called as evolution, which is organizational. Next point, that is sixth point, progressive development of plants and animals from the ancestors having different structural and functional organization is called as evolution. The last point, following are the proofs available in support of the theory of evolution. First one is what? Morphological evidence. Next is what? Anatomical evidence. Third is vestigial organs. Fourth is paleontological evidence, and fifth is connecting links, and the sixth one is embryological evidences. Now this all points is given in page number 5 and 6. Next one, D, explain with suitable examples importance of anatomical evidences in evolution. Now answer, first point, external morphology between human hand, cat's foreleg, flippers of whale and patagium of bat and doesn't show any similarity. Second point, similarly use of each of those structures is different in respective animals. Third point, however, there is similarity in structure of bones and bony joints in organs of each of those animals. Fourth point, this similarity indicates that those animals may have common ancestor. Fifth point, thus anatomical evidence provide proof of evolution. Now this answer, ये जो आंसर है वो टेक्स्ट बुक के पेज नंबर 4 में दिया है, और ये जो क्वेश्चन जो है महाराष्ट्र बोर्ड में जुलाई 2019 में और मार्च 2020 में ये क्वेश्चन पूछा था. Now next question, define fossil. Explain the importance of fossil as proof of evolution. Answer, first point, large number of animals get buried due to disasters like flood, earthquake, volcano, etc. Remnants and impression of such organisms remain preserved underground. These are called as fossil. Next point, carbon consumption of animals and plants stops after death, and since then only the decaying process of C14 occurs continuously. In case of dead bodies of plants and animals, instead of remaining constant, the ratio between C14 and C12 change continuously as C12 is non-radioactive. The time passed since the death of a plant or animal can be calculated by measuring the radioactivity of C14 and ratio of C14 to C12 present in their body. Third point, it seems vertebrates have been slowly originated from invertebrates. Hence, the fossils of invertebrates are found buried deep as they are very old and belong to Paleozoic era. The fossils of Pisces, amphibians and reptiles were obtained above this layers. The Mesozoic era was dominated by reptiles, while the Cenozoic era showed the presence of mammals and birds. Last point, that is fourth point, thus a study of fossils and carbon dating method is used in paleontology and anthropology for determining the age of human fossils and manuscripts. अभी ये आंसर जो है टेक्स्ट बुक का पेज नंबर 5 और 6 में है. नेक्स्ट वन, F, the last question of this exercise, lesson number 1 का exercise का last question है ये. F, question number F, write the evolutionary history of modern man. First point of the answer का first point क्या है? 7 crore years ago, monkey-like animals evolved from some ancestors who were more or less similar to the modern lemurs. Second point, tails of these monkey-like animals of Africa disappeared about 4 crore years ago. Third point, they developed due to enlargement in brain. Their hands also improved and thus ape-like animals were evolved. Point 4, these ape-like animals evolved into gibbon and orangutan in the South and Northeast Asia. Remaining ape-like animals stayed in Africa, and from them gorilla and chimpanzee evolved about 2.5 crore years ago. Evolution of some of the 2 crore year old species of apes occurred in different way. They had to use their hands more for eating food and the other work. Those apes started to live on land as forest started to decline due to dry environment. Their lumbar bones developed and they started to stand in erect posture in grassland, and thereby the hands became available for any time evolved about 2 crore years ago. Next point, first record of human-like animals is Ramapithecus ape from East Africa. Next point, that is 7th point, around 40 lakh years ago, these apes grew larger in size and became more intelligent. That is Australopithecus. Next point, 8th point, around 20 lakh years ago, human-like animals share morphological similarities with the member of genus Homo, and thus skilled humans developed. 9th point, around 15 lakh years ago, human walking with erect posture evolved and may have existed in China, Indonesia and the Asian subcontinent. 10th point, Neanderthal man evolved around 15 lakh years ago. 11th point, for around 1 lakh years from then, man evolved by developing his brain and also discovered fire during this period. Next point, the brain of 50,000-year-old man evolved in such a way that it could be considered as member of class wise man, that is Homo sapiens. Next, that is 13th point, Cro-Magnon man evolved around 50,000 years ago, after which evolution became more faster. 14th point, 10,000 years ago, present day modern man started practicing agriculture, rearing cattle and establishing cities. Also, cultural development took place around this time period. Now this answer is given in the textbook का पेज नंबर 9 और 10 में ये आंसर दिया हुआ है.